11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think the winner won it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
Smile from Manny Pacquiao. Oh, counter serve!
And thanks to those joining me live and those that be joining me on the archive. D Style here. If you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're listening on the archive, leave a comment. Tell me what do you think. Hit the like button. Hit the bell that we're notified every time Stop Boxing comes on live. The times are random. There's no specific time, so you need that bell button. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. Right now, there has not been any shows with myself and Calix. The reason why I'm just not available when he's available and vice versa. It just is what it is. We'll do them whenever we're both. I'm just not available when he is. It just is what it is. But we'll work that out somehow. I don't know. Right. So that's the reason why Calix and I have not done shows. The rumors that we're beefing isn't true. The rumors that there's been a fallout, those rumors are not true. Like, you know what I mean? It's just when he's available, I'm not available. Like, it's as simple as that, and vice versa. So there you go. That's the explanation. We'll leave it at that. Okay, Jesus M, how's it going? Parker did fight back during the sequence of the stoppage. So much to talk about that. We're gonna be talking about Parker. Well, was he screwed? Was that stoppage early? You know, I've heard different takes. Most people agree with me, it seems like, at least from what I've seen. Maybe I'm in a bubble. I don't know. But there's some nuance in the thoughts, but we'll get there. And what's next for Parker or Wardley, and what do I think should happen? I'll tell you what I think should happen. But before we get there, and I also want to say we're going to be talking about TKO boxing a little bit more. I'm going to be beating this shit like it's a dead horse, bro. Like, it is what it is, bro. Right? Like, people can get tired of it, whatever it is. And we're going to hit this point home. And another thing I'm noticing when people are talking about this, one, the amount of content creators that I know are just, regular fans that they're just scared of just like speaking from a fan's perspective. It's insane to me. The amount of people that don't want to speak from the fans' perspective is unbelievable. You're disrespecting yourselves. How the hell do you expect to be respected by all the boxers and the former referees and managers that disrespect and slap you across the face like you're this irrelevant pawn in this game of boxing? You're constantly told your opinion doesn't matter. You're constantly told to shut up, sit down, and drink a beer and enjoy whatever we give you. You're constantly told you're a cheap ass if you don't think a fight's pay-per-view worthy. You're constantly told and lectured to like you were by Espinoza, the former president of Showtime Sports. He will lecture fans, tell them this is a great fight card. If you don't want to buy it, you're not a real fan. You have fans that say that to other fans, and it's just unbelievable to me. Fans can't even just say, hey, I thought that fight was boring now, without getting scolded and told that they're idiots and they're not real boxing fans because they don't understand the sweet science. Boxing fans aren't allowed to just have opinions now, right? Every other podcast I see, Andre Wardley lecturing people of if you never box, you can't talk about the sport, and if you never been in the game, don't say a word. And Marisian out there, the manager, doing a whole series about all the great people that he works with in boxing, how amazing they all are, and don't listen to the stupid fans that don't know anything about the sport that criticize. I mean, this is I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know of another sport that just shits all over its fan base. Like, it's unbelievable to me. Right now, every time I turn around, Tim's who didn't know that the IBF had a weight clause. Fighters say the most ignorant shit you ever heard in the world. Like it's unbelievable to me. But we can't speak on the sport, right? When I was here on YouTube, when it was you, Iki, to talk on YouTube, all the boxing reporters and they were too cool for YouTube, right? And when I was here talking on YouTube, along with all the other dudes from the Blood Boxing, shout out to him, right? I mean, just all the dudes that were on here just talking boxing, right? I didn't see any of these dudes around, none of them, right? It wasn't until money started coming around and super chat started coming around and ad money started coming around. All of a sudden, they thought, oh, you know what? Maybe I can now give my time to talk about the fucking sport, right? And it's not all of them, by the way. Shout out to a lot of these guys. A lot of them are great to the fans. But the amount of people that are just so condescending and such dicks to boxing fans, it's unbelievable. Now, I'm not saying that boxing fans, they're not, a little out there sometimes, right? Yes, it's a two-way street. A lot of times there are boxing fans that are very disrespectful towards fighters, in my opinion. They see a lot of out-of-bounds things, etc., right? But at the end of the day, the boxing fan is the demand of the sport. We're the consumer of the sport. If nobody's around to watch it, there's no reason to do it. And the way that I've just been noticing, like in recent years, especially this year, the way fans are talked about, we're gonna touch on that. But first, before I get to all that, shout out to everybody from Nando, Bruce Goss, Jesus M. Thank you for being here. Make sure you guys hit the like button and all that good stuff. For all the dudes in the chat, I appreciate you guys being in the chat. Continue to be in the chat, of course, right? But never shy away from always coming back to the video, leaving a comment. It helps give the channel and the video more visibility. It helps push the channel even more. I don't give a shit if you say good vid. I don't give a shit if you just put a thumbs up. Okay, I don't give a shit. Shout out to you, D-Style. I don't care if you say I disagree with every damn word you said, D-Style. It's all good as long as you leave a comment, right? So if you guys could help out with that, that'll be much appreciated. Times are tough for any content creator putting their time here on this platform. It really, really is. So they're not doing us any favors putting it out there, right? So any type of help goes a long way. So thank you very much for tuning in, all that good stuff. Parker, first of all, great fight. All right, great fight. I actually expected Parker to outclass him. I did not expect a competitive fight or anything like that, but nonetheless, I still think Parker was winning. I thought Parker was. I felt he was winning clearly. Wardley maybe 3 rounds, maybe 4 that you could give to him. It was competitive, but I thought Parker was pulling ahead, but he did seem to tire, and then Wardley put it to him. Like I'm not going to act like Parker wasn't in some type of trouble, but this is just my opinion. But I thought the fight was stopped a little premature. This is, and again, this goes back to like being fans, right? A lot of people are just scared to just be fans, and they're scared of hearing the good old, what do you know? You never been in the ring. These guys put their lives on the line, and the shaming of the fan, like, what I mean? It's insane, right? Boxing fans have been neutered, bro. Like it's insane to me, but whatever. But I'm just gonna tell you what a lot of us are just thinking, and it's okay to just say it. It was a premature stoppage. This is heavyweight boxing. It's the hurt business, okay? It's elite heavyweight boxing. Joseph Parker, regardless of whatever you think, whether you would have made it or not, right, has earned the right to be given the benefit of the doubt. I get that it's a tough call by the ref. Look, I don't think it's the worst call I've ever. It's not the worst stoppage I've ever seen. It was just a little too early, a little too premature. You saw Wardley just fall down to the mat. He was exhausted. Who's to say that he doesn't put himself out and then Parker, comes back? Well, we've seen that happen so many times, and Parker's earned a right to try to do that. You saw him immediately protest to the referee. But it doesn't mean I'm mad at Wardley or whatever, or the ref. I get it's a tough position to be in. It just is. And it's, again, not the worst thing in the world. I think Parker made a mistake by putting his hands down the way he did, but I just felt it was a little premature. And these are modern day warriors in there. These guys are gladiators. And I know that it's a hard pill to swallow for people. But what if? I get it that there's a risk involved when you're in the ring, and bad things can happen to fighters. And of course, I don't want those things to happen, but I acknowledge that they could happen, right? All fighters acknowledge the same thing. All right. Well, I still believe in a referee using their judgment call. I disagree with the ref's call, but I'm not outraged by it either. That makes sense. I'm not mad at the ref about it, but I just disagree with this call because I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I thought it was a little too premature, right? I think there could have been better stoppages, right? You know, if you're a fighter in that position, you got to think about things sometimes, though. Like maybe Parker should have considered taking a knee, right? Like always keep that in mind. Although, sometimes, it's the pride of a fighter. They don't want to take a knee, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do, especially if the ref is prowling and he sees he's just going to jump in if you get hit again. So you got to be careful in that instant. Parker was throwing back, albeit, he wasn't landing, and it looked like he was pushing his punches a little bit at that point, but I seen fighters recover. I seen fighters come back. Right, we saw Arturo Gatti recover from round 9 against Mickey Ward, and he came back in the next round. We seen fighters in trouble recover, come back. We seen Diego Corrales get dropped, several times by Castillo, come back when it looked like it was over. Not saying that was going to happen here, but we just don't know, right? And Wardley to me was tiring out himself, so it would have been interesting. And I think Parker, I feel bad for him. He's put so much on the line, and what I believe should happen, quite frankly, I think there should be a rematch. I think a rematch is warranted. I don't like the idea that Ward is just going to get a title shot right away when Parker's been waiting for a shot. Parker put his interim belt on the line. I mean, this is a third straight fighting for an interim belt. And he beat Zhang for the WBO interim belt. And at this point, Parker has gone through the gauntlet that many straight times. He should have already gotten a shot. And he was an underdog against Wilder, an underdog against Zhang, right? He knocked out Bacoli earlier this year. And to me, well, hey, Fabio Wardley, I mean, so he gets a shot the moment he wins the interim belt. I mean, when Parker, this is his third fight for the interim belt, I just don't. I don't know. I feel like the right thing to do is to do a rematch. That's the right thing to do, right? One way to remedy the fact that maybe it should have been stopped, but hey, better safe than sorry, is go ahead and do the rematch. It was a great fight. And if they want to fund it, I think that's what they should do, quite frankly. That's what I personally would like to see. And I would actually pick Parker to win the rematch. I would. I think Parker will probably come in a little lighter. I think he put on a little too much weight. And I think he would outwork Worley. I think he would win. I think it would be a great fight again. And after that win, he should get a shot. That's what I think should happen. Right? And all this talk about Dubois getting a shot. I mean, how many shots is Dubois going to get? If you're talking about coming back, getting his shot, well, what's all these dudes talking about getting the shots when Parker's been waiting for his shot? And he gave Wardley an opportunity, and I think Wardley at this point should give him one back. Is what I think should happen, right? But look, if they do Wardley versus Usyk, I'm down with that too. That's fine, but I don't think Wardley could beat Usyk. So I think I know what's going to happen in that fight. And good luck coming from behind and hurting Usyk and stopping. Good luck with doing that. But I think Usyk handily wins that fight. And where Parker, if Parker doesn't get the Wardley rematch, what does he do? I mean, maybe it's Moses Otama. They're hyping the kid up. It's a former world champion, and if you're Parker, beating him puts you back in the mix. So maybe that's an option. A Chisora rematch, maybe. There's some fights out there for him, but I want to see the Wardley rematch. Is what I want to see. All right. Personally, is what I want to see. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a motherfucker with an opinion. right? That's all I am. I'm just doing the pin. That's it. That's it. Nando says, wasn't a great stoppage, but Wardley earned a dub. Hey, look, Wardley did his thing, man. I mean, I'm not mad at Wardley. He's just a fighter. He put the heat on Parker and forced the ref to step in. And that, at the end of the day, that's that. I just think it was stopped a little prematurely. Maybe he stops him anyway, right? But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Bruce Scott, Frank Warren could make any of those fights. I agree with you. I'm all for it either way, man. I'm all for it. You know what I mean? I really wanted to see Parker versus Usyk. I think Parker is one of the toughest fights for Usyk. People won't believe me till it happens, but hey, I think Ward is an easier fight for Usyk, quite frankly. But hey, that's the guy that won. If he gets a fight, good for him, whatever. All right. I just think Parker's been waiting a long time for a shot. He was on a long winning streak, pulled up a lot of upsets. It wasn't his fault. Dubois pulled out of that fight, and Dubois gets his shot, even though he was the one knocked out by Usyk. I mean, I don't know. It's an unfair world. That's the way it is, and but Nando will disagree. Nando thinks that's an easier time with Parker. Okay, well, I say let's do it. I mean, if he beats Parker easier the next time, then let's see it. You know what I mean? I think if Parker loses about 10, 15 pounds, I think he handily beats Wardley. But, you know what I mean? I think all that extra weight tired him out a little bit. It's not really enhancing anything with him. His punches might be a little heavier, but they're also a little slower. So, I don't know. I just think that one of Parker's strengths is his hand speed and his, good stamina. And he hurts that a little bit, with the extra weight. But whatever he's gained out of it, he's losing more out of it, in my opinion. But again, what do I know? I'm just a spectator. You know what I mean? But Bruce Goss, I have a feeling that tonight's gonna be good. But anyway, I have the feeling, Warren and Turkey are going to put on a major heavyweight card. Man. Yeah, I hope they do it. You know what I mean? You know what? Another fight I just thought about: Big Baby Anderson against Parker. Crossroads fight. It'll be a big win for the winner. Of course, it'll be a big setback for the loser, but I think that's another fight that they could do. Quite frankly, a Parker Anthony Joshua rematch. The first fight was okay. It wasn't the greatest fight in the world, but it's a fight I personally wouldn't mind. Mom, food, planting things. How you doing? Shout out to you. So, Mom, food, planting things. Although I don't know this for a fact, but we're getting close. It's almost Halloween. You know what I mean? And then we're gonna get near the holiday season, which is tamale season, right? And I have a feeling those tamales they're gonna start getting cooked. You know what I mean? And or boiled, whatever, and with the steam. You know what I mean? And there's like a business going on. You know what I mean? It's like with tamale season here. Let me tell you something. One of the most underrated. One of the most. It's the IRS hasn't caught on to it. I'm not trying to, they fired a bunch of IRS agents anyway, but that's when business kicks in. You know what I mean? Like business kicks in, like Ziploc bags, okay, gets sold out at Walmart, all right? You know what I mean? Those things go out like you know what I mean? There's a lot of cash being exchanged for tamales. And a lot of that's not being taxed, although they pay the sales tax when they have to buy the shit, but there's no taxes on that. You know what I mean? See that's the but the thing is, even if I'm snitching, like the IRS agents are buying them too. They know about it. That's the thing. Like they know about the shit. Like they got to be buying that shit. There's no way an IRS agent hasn't bought right under the table tamales and exchanged some cash for some cash. It's impossible. It's impossible, bro. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there, right? But so that extra money's coming in, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I should stop. Like, I'm giving away the game right now. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? What's, these guys over here just putting this shit out. But I'm just saying. You know what I mean? But Pozole is undefeated. And the Pozole is where it's at, bro. Let me tell you something. Everybody's always talking about menudo, right? Oh, man, I love menudo. But the thing is, most Mexicans, they've been eating menudo their whole fucking life. Their whole life they've been eating menudo, right? They still think the pozole is a menudo. Like, you know how many Mexicans I hear like say shit like, sí, quiero menudo, pero sin la carne. Like what? The fuck? What are you talking about? It's not menudo anymore. Like what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Pozole is where it's at with the pork. You know what I mean? Like that's where it's at for me. Pozole is where it's at with the chile rojo. Like that's where it's at, right? And those things, you know, I'm not going to give away more shit, so I'm going to shut up, right? I'm going to say nothing. I'm just going to be quiet about it. But anyway, let's talk about the like TKO and the Ali Act and all that good stuff, right? Bro, we've been. I don't know if you guys have caught on, but like there's like a system in place, right? It's almost like they got foot soldiers out here, and like I don't know, like why they do it or what the deal is, but have you noticed like every time like a certain person in the media or like in the boxing business somehow says something, right? All the little foot soldiers just go out and they just repeat the shit like a bunch of parrots, right? Like that's all they do, bro. Right? Like, I'm just saying, right? They be like they just be repeating what the fuck they just heard, bro. Like the lawyer comes out and he's like, why do they want to get rid of the Ali Act? The Ali Act protects the fighters. We want to keep it in there to protect the fighters. I used to be a fighter and I'm still a fighter. So I think about the fighters, right? Eddie Hearn out here like the Ali Act. I do declare, well, we're getting rid of the Ali Act. The Ali Act is really important, I do declare. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but he doesn't use the Ali Act in the UK. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Parker versus Wardley didn't need the Ali Act. Like, I'm sure they got protected and all that. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're going to get paid. They need the Ali Act. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they, technically speaking, all the fights in Saudi Arabia, like they didn't need the Ali Act and they got done. Like, I'm just putting it out there. You know what I mean? And these are like, they'd be out here, right? They'd be like they hear somebody say something, they just repeat it. Right? A lot of these people, they're like zombies, bro. They just repeat what the fuck they're told. They're like sheep, parrots, right? We got to protect the fighters, right? That's all they're saying. They just say shit. You know, a bunch of platitudes, ladies and gentlemen. That's all. Because none of it is based on fact. None of it. All the ranting and the raving, none of it is based on truth and facts, and it's just, it is what it is, bro. They're not changing the Ali Act. Dudes have already come out and said that. When Dana said it, we're not changing the Ali Act. If you want to stay under the current model, you can stay there. Like, you know what I mean? And people are, oh, he's a liar, he's a snake. Eric Gomez comes out, repeats the same thing. Oh yeah, we looked at it. You know, it's not going to impact our side of the business. It's not going to really change the Ali Act, really. It's only if you join TKO in their league, and it's a little different. That's it. Completely voluntary. Nobody has to do it. By the way, other fighters around the world don't have the Ali Act. They don't get Ali Act protections, and a lot of them are actually doing a lot better than American boxing. But whatever, right? Everybody wants to ignore that fact. That doesn't matter. They're just repeating what the fuck they're told, bro. And then we have all these managers and these promoters. Have you noticed this? For years, they couldn't work together. They hated each other. They were all pieces of shit. They were all snakes. Don't trust that promoter. Trust me instead. Aram's a snake. No. The lawyer's full of shit. No. Eddie Hearn's full of shit. All the sanctioning bodies are full of shit. They're always beefing, and managers always complain about promoters and vice versa. They're going at it. They're duking it out. You know what I mean? And then once word got in, the TKO's coming in. Right? It's like the Mean Girls got together, man. Like, you know what I mean? Seeing that the new girls coming into town, And they're all coming together, bro. Like all of a sudden, I'm reading all these threads and posts and tweets, and they can't stop kissing each other's asses, bro. Right? Oh, everything is great in boxing. We love it. Everything's great. Why is he coming in? Everything's been great. Like they're gonna come fuck it up. We got a good thing going right now. Well, we're protecting the fighters. We're like they just start sucking each other's dicks and shit. Like, that's all they're doing. And then you got the sycophants all over the internet doing the same shit, just repeating the same shit. This is crazy, bro. This is nuts. Like, I'm just saying. It's great. And then people are shitting on the fans if they dare say, hey, it might give us better fights. Oh, no. Why are you thinking that way? Don't you care about the fighters? Let me ask you guys a serious question. Because you've heard the way a lot of these fighters today, not all of them, but a lot of the establishment, a lot of the fighters, a lot of the promoters, a lot of the managers, a lot of the people in the boxing business, like you've heard the way they're so condescending towards you, how dismissive they are of you. In fact, they have some of the fans just being their parrots, just repeating the same shit they're saying to you, right? No. You need to be against that because you need to care about the health and safety and the well-being of the fighters, right? Oh, yeah, you guys are so moral. That's why you picked a sport like boxing to follow, right? Should you be following another sport instead of one where dudes are actually punching each other, right, in the face? Shouldn't you be following another sport because you're so moral and you care about the health being of human beings, right? You never care about a lot of these dudes, they're advocates against good fights that are competitive because it's unhealthy for the fighters, right? Oh, no, you can't do that. TKO's going to come in and have these guys have a bunch of tough fights. Man, they're going to have shorter careers. They're going to hurt each other. That's not good. That's not good for the health of the fighters. You see, what you need to do is you got to get these fighters and put them in a bunch of mismatches where they beat up a bunch of no-hopers. We don't give a fuck about their health, though. Not those fighters. The fuck with those fighters, right? Those journeymen waiting by the phone and shit that they get short notice on these fights, right? Who gives a shit about those guys, right? Oh, about the guys that never get the call, end up giving up on the sport. We don't give a shit about those guys either, right? We just care about the status quo. We care about the hand-picked ones. Those are the ones we care about, right? Shout out to K-Mac and Eric Gomez in the building, right? Shout out to you. Nando, who is part of the show, no matter how many times he says he's not part of the show. Nah, I'm not part of the show. Part of the show? Me? Nah. We're going to make him part of the show. Whether he likes it or not. It is what it is. Whether he's agreeing, whether he's disagreeing, or somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to make Nando part of the show. Right? In fact, I might rename the channel D-Style Boxing with Nando in the chat. Like, I might call it that. You know what I mean? Just to make a point. But let's read this comment. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. Oh, you know I hate shit. You know that's one of my pet peeves. It's in the middle. I'm in the middle. But let's see what it says. We're going to get a bunch of shitty loafer fights mixed with the occasional Heat Turkey sponsored supercard. That's my prediction. But we will see. All right. That wasn't a bad comment. All right. Dana hasn't created a real star since he wrote all the smaller MMA promotions and he put them all out of business. Man, very similar to Vince McMahon, huh? You know, Vince, like, he got the AWA out of business, all these other small organizations out of business, but he took Hogan from the AWA. Hogan was always like an established star there, and he took that character and he became like a big, star, whatever. You know what I mean? Right. Shout out to Mom Food Planting Things, right? Who now needs to watch her back from the IRS, because these I would have shut the fuck up. But either way, I'm sure she can always pay the taxes with the tamales. I mean, it's an idea, You know, like, who's going to say no to that? You know what I mean? Only time I'm in the middle is with two girls that are Gomez. I mean, it's not a bad idea. All right. So, you see, the thing is, like, don't you guys understand that we call the shots? Like, all these fans, they're like a bunch of zombies, bro. Like walking around aimlessly, like just repeating the same shit that they hear all these like fighters and promoters say, and like we have fighters like Malinaji, right? Telling people, right? Telling the fans what the fans want. It's crazy. They're like, what are you talking about? What? Malinaji literally said that the boxing fans, they're just not going to tolerate fighters with losses on their records. You know, so they're not going to take any of these fighters with TKO seriously because they're going to have losses in their records. And so it's going to make it very hard for them to be successful. Literally what he's saying, bro. Right? That's literally like what's coming out of his mouth while he's talking to Ariel Helwani. You know, like you can't have these fighters, you know, with journeyman records. You know, they have all fighting each other, they're going to lose, and then the fans, they're not going to respect them, they're not going to like them. Okay, Paulie, but this is where you come in. This is where like the expert analyst comes in and educates the fans, educates the people, and says, no, these guys are good. The reason they're losing because they're all fighting each other. They're always in tough fights. That's why. That's your role. Your role is not to tell the fans what they want or don't want. What are you talking about? For years, I've heard fans complain about fighters being handpicked. Bro, like they're breaking the fourth wall. Like, because that's how brainwashed they have the fans. A lot of you dudes need to break out of this like spell that you're in. Honestly, like, and I mean that very seriously. I used to be one of those people. Like, I think Nando's somewhere in the middle, but we're working on Nando. We're almost there. Like, we're slowly breaking up there. You know what I mean? He's coming around. He takes a long way, but he always comes around. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But you need to break out of this spell, this curse, right? And you need to stop letting these motherfuckers tell you what you want. You're the paying consumer. We're the ones that make pay-per-view successful when they're bought, right? So we're the vast majority. We're the ones that pack the arenas. And every time if I get to hear more fighters that do podcasting, right, and more pundits, these journalists, talk like a bunch of condescending because that's what they sound like. They're condescending pricks. And talk about fans, right? They're always like, oh, like, yeah, these fans, you know, these losers, these lowlifes, got nothing better to do than to just be armchair critics. And like, if you don't got professions, if you don't have a job or some shit, like, it's not something you're an expert in. Like, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, this is crazy, bro. Like, they don't have opinions about things outside of boxing, right? If you see I've given this analogy a million times, right? But if you go to the steakhouse and somebody's going to be like, oh, you can't compare steakhouse and boxing, like, you dumb motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I'm going to get that one idiot. It is what it is. But if you go to a steakhouse and you ask for medium rare, right? You don't have to be a chef, right? You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be mom food planning things to know if they bring that shit and it's leaking blood, right? You can say, hey man, you gotta cook, you gotta leave this a little more on the grill. And what they're supposed to tell you is no. They're supposed to say, no problem, we're gonna do what you want. All right, we're gonna make sure it's the way you want it, right? If they bring it back well done, it looks like a fucking piece of beef jerky. You ask for medium rare. You don't have to be an expert to say, I don't like that shit, right? If you go to a restaurant, you have the food and you don't like it, right? Nobody tells you what the fuck do you know about cooking, and because you don't understand the intricacy that came into the art, and that the how the chef made it, and you just don't understand. Like, no one's going to be like no one does that. If you look at a building, right, and you say, man, it's an ugly ass fucking building. Who the fuck designed that shit, right? You don't need to be a freaking architect to look at something and say you don't like it. What do you know about blueprint? What do you know about the guy who designed it? Went to school for 8 years and he has his master's, and look at the expertise that came into it and the intricacies. You just don't appreciate the art and the difficulty of creating such a shut the fuck up. It looks ugly, bruh. We watch a fight and say, man, it's a boring ass fight. We don't need condescending prick, dudes coming out of here, and a lot of time it's former fighters. These fans, they just don't understand what they're watching. They're idiots. They don't get that there's some sweet science behind what we were watching, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with trying to educate people. Right? There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I disagree. I enjoyed it. This is why. This is what you guys got to watch. Look how he was moving his feet, man. And you know how difficult that is to do, and then break it down for people, and then maybe people will start to appreciate those things more, right? I tend to appreciate a good boxing match that's not very violent more than the average person. That doesn't mean I don't find some fights fucking boring and unwatchable, though. Fans can have opinions. Fans can state how they feel about shit. And if fans want more, fans are not happy. If fans say, man, things are kind of stale right now. If fans want to say Wardley Parker is not a pay-per-view fight, we could say that. All right? We don't have to be shamed into not saying stuff like that. All right? Do you not know that these fighters put their lives on the line, and you dumb fans, a bunch of lazy eating your chips, and like I'm done with that shit, bro. I'm done with the way they just paint broad brushes with the fans and talk shit to the fans. The fans don't know nothing, and I know they throw shade at dudes like me. Oh, everybody could be a podcaster. Anybody could get a mic and talk about boxing. You know what? You're right. Anybody could get a mic and talk about boxing. Yes, very true. Right? And not everybody could just be a condescending piece of shit prick. Right? That's kind of hard to do, actually. It's kind of hard to master that craft. Right? Kind of difficult. Kind of hard to do that. Does it matter? Does it mean guys like me can have an opinion? Does it mean that you know more about the history of boxing than me? Does it mean you know more about many of these legends than me? Does it mean you study more about the sport than me? Is there a way to great passion? Does it mean you're more passionate about the sport than me? I was doing this shit when it was free. Nobody was paying anybody anything. I know a lot of you don't really have the passion for it because you get paid to do it. All right? That's how I know. There's pro quo going on with credentials and all that with a lot of you. Right? I don't need the sport of boxing to fund me. I come on here on my spare time, right? That's what a lot of people do. They do this on their spare time when they have a full-time job, working 6 or 7 days a week, 10-hour days. And we come on here and we talk about the sport, about your sport. And then we have condescending prick managers, right? We have condescending pricks that are involved in the business of boxing that want to be condescending towards someone like me because I want to see the sport do better. Because they've ran the business of boxing to the ground. They have failed at making the sport popular in the United States of America, but they want to suck each other's dicks and talk about how dudes like me don't know what the fuck we're talking about. See, that's what's happening here. You notice, like, I want you to notice this really quick. TKO has a TV deal, right? I don't give a fuck if Dana White's a prick. I don't give a shit. I don't have to have a milkshake with the dude. I don't have to do any of that shit. All I need is for him to deliver fights. And that's all I'm going to pay attention to. That's all I need to pay attention to. I don't need to be lectured by anybody, right? I need to pay attention to how they're paying the fighters. Are they taking care of the fighters? But what about the fighters? You need to care about the fighters. Like, I don't need to do any of that. That's not my responsibility. I'm a consumer and I pay to consume. How that money's allocated, the fighter need to watch for that, not me. I want to see fights. Is what I want. That's what I want. You know why a lot of these managers are talking a lot of shit? Do you know why? Because they're not going to be able to dictate the pathway as easily for their fighters like they want to. Right? They're all breaking the fourth wall. All of them. Right? Let me give you an example. So on a 3 knockdown rule with Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Steve Kim, by the way, I want to get back. I want to have a conversation with Steve Kim. A lot of this on the show in the near future, by the way. But, and hopefully we get Calix on. But I'll try to see if I can get like an afternoon or something. But the thing is this, right? Eric Gomez and Roberto Diaz, well, like a lot, but again, like they reveal things, and I think they become so normal that, like, and even to fans aren't catching the stuff, right? But Eric Gomez sits there, and he literally said out of his mouth, "I knew Crawford was a beat Canelo." Right? Fair, he got it right, right? But I knew because, hey, we promoted Canelo. We avoided fighters like that for 12 years. We wanted to avoid Erislandy Lara, he said. We wanted to avoid Austin Trout. We don't want the Trout fight. And then he said, Canelo asked for those fights. He demanded those fights. It's the only reason we made them. Don't you see how that's like, what's wrong with that? Like, don't you see that? Why did Canelo need to practically beg Golden Boy to let him fight Lara for? Because the system that we have in place, right? The system that we have allows that. Right? They would have bypassed Lara. They don't give a fuck. Right? They would have bypassed Trout. They wouldn't give a fuck. They would have left them in the dust. All right? Roberto Diaz told me right here on the show. It was just a couple days ago. He literally told me, hey, we didn't know that Maidana was that good before we put him in the ring with Victor Ortiz. Or, like, he didn't say it, but he was almost saying, or we wouldn't have done it. Right? There's something wrong with that system. Right? And we need to shatter that system. Like, we need to shatter it like I'm talking Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, Room of Mirrors shattering. Is what we need to do. The closer we get to shattering that system, the better. Right? There's way too many fighters waiting by the phone. There's way too many fighters waiting around, not getting their opportunity, quitting the sport because they're not getting their shot because these managers, these promoters have handpicked who they want to sell to us because in the words of Vince McMahon, we know more what you want than what you do, right? Yet, just watch this space. Watch how the sport of boxing has completely gone to the gutter in America because of that. And listen to your friends that are giving up on the sport. Listen to them. Listen to what they say. It's always fights take forever to make. We don't get the fights when we want them, and we don't. There's too many belts. Listen to the people that stopped watching the sport. Don't argue with them. Listen to them. I used to argue with them all the time. When a friend would be like, "Oh, I stopped watching because there's too many belts," and then I would be that guy. But you watch MMA, and MMA, they have different belts too. There's UFC, and there's Bellator, and there's PFL, and that was me. And you hear them; they're doing that now. Malinagi's doing that, still doing that shit, right? Because the fights don't get made. They don't get made. What do you mean? Like, look at the fight that happened. That was a great fight. You didn't watch it? No. Guess what, guys? Nobody's watching them. Right? What do you mean? Fights have been happening. What do you mean? And then you get frustrated because they don't know who these guys are. You're like, well, you should watch it so you should know who they are, right? And you get mad at them for doing it. But you're not listening to the people that are outside of the bubble and just stop watching the fucking sport. You're not listening to them. Listen to them. All the problems they tell you, there's so many fucking belts, inmates have run the asylum, guys are overly protected, they don't step them up, padded records, protecting of the O's. We're just tired of it. We don't care anymore, bro. Like, listen to those people. So when Malinaji comes around, the fans don't want to watch a fight with a bunch of losses in their record. They'll put up with that in MMA, but not in boxing, right? Like, you need to stop listening to these pundits, right, that are defending the status quo when the status quo is shit. The sport of boxing is in a shit place. In America, it's in a shit place. And they're fear-mongering, and they're sucking each other's dicks all of a sudden. All of a sudden, they're best pals, the whole nine. By the way, let me just apologize right now. Mom Food Planet Things. She was on here, and I was talking about sucking. Like, I apologize. All right, I apologize for talking that way. All right, but just I'll keep it PG. All right, but they're over here giving each other hot stone massages and shit. That was not that bad, right? I think it gets a point across, right? My grandma always told me that the people that cuss too much show signs that they're not that intelligent. So I need to stop cussing so much, right? But the thing is, talking so vulgar. Like, what the fuck's the matter with me, bro? Like, I'm talking all like it is what it is, right? But the thing is, stop defending the status quo. That's what they're defending. They feel threatened. And they see that all the money's going to be allocated, a lot of it's going to go that direction. Right? And now they're not going to be able to manipulate a lot of these fighters now. A lot of these fighters are going to get guaranteed dates, guaranteed fight time, but that they're not getting right now. You're De La Hoya being all condescending about the 300 fighters that TKO is going to sign. Who are they going to sign? The dudes you guys aren't signing. Those dudes, the dudes you don't think are going to be stars because you want to tell us who the stars are. Never forget that Golden Boy was telling you Victor Ortiz is a star. That was her golden goose, right? And never forget that they didn't think Maidana was that good. So when Maidana went into Rick's shop, y le rompió el hocico, put chingazos on him, right? Made him quit, right? When that happened, that wasn't part of the plan. I will venture to say there's a lot of fighters very similar to Marcos Maidana waiting for their shot. You don't get the calls, the dude's willing to lose. The guys are all lost on the records. The guys that come in and they know the assignment. Once in a while, they'll spoil the other, like they won't get this. They don't get the memo, but you know who they're going to avoid at all costs? The dude that could beat their dude. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I want to see, like, I want those guys to get the shot. Shout out to LT. How's it going, brother? That's what Sam. That was excited about Ortiz Maidana. I always said, I mean, it's not what the promoters wanted. A lot of, like, I remember being like surprised, and because I had a lot of high hopes for Victor Ortiz, right? And I remember the post-fight speech, and a lot of people just gave up on him after that. But shit like that's what boxing needs. It needs shit like that, all right? It needs that. This is when, like, these Paulie Malignaggi's of the world, like the boxmen, they're not gonna accept guys with losses, and then they're 2-2 in the last 4 fights. They're not gonna care about them. That mentality is a problem, right? So this is your assignment. It's what I want you to do. This is your assignment as a boxing fan. And next time I come on live, I'm gonna ask a question. I want you guys to, like, hopefully you guys can tell me what you get back, right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a hold of a primo, cousin, a friend, maybe it's your own flesh and blood brother, like, or sister. Maybe you had a sister who watched boxing, whatever, right? A friend, an acquaintance, you name it, right? That used to really be into boxing, and now maybe they're into UFC instead, or maybe they're not watching combat sports at all anymore. Like, what I want you to do is ask them why they stopped watching the sport and what they would like to see in order to get back into the sport, right? Just do that. Don't argue with them. Don't be defensive about it. Be open-minded about what they say, right? Just ask them. Just those are the 2 questions. Hey, man, why'd you stop watching the sport? I know you told me before, but I forgot. Well, why'd you stop watching? Listen to what they have to say. And then say, or they may even tell you this before you even ask a question. But if they don't tell you themselves, just be, what would you like to see implemented in boxing for you to get back into it? Listen to them. Listen to what they say. That's your assignment. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything else, right? And you know what you're going to say? These stuff's right. I've been arguing with these people way too long. I've been trying to talk them out of a ledge or force them and shame them back into watching the sport. And another thing you're going to realize, I could bet you anything. Yeah, the TKO model, despite all the pushback, is basically, not all of it, of course. It's not going to be 100%, but a lot of it's going to be what your friends or family member wants to see, right? That's just the reality, right? That's just the truth, guys. Nando, I know what you're talking about, and because there wasn't a lot of return customers. A lot of people didn't come back. So, but that's your assignment, guys. Those are the two questions to ask. That's it. You don't got to do anything else. All right? If you haven't already hit the like button, if you haven't already hit the bell button, hit notify, the whole 9. And we are going to overcome this shadow ban I created by talking politics and talking about a certain country. But we're going to overcome it. It's okay. All right? I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Shout out to everybody, by the way. Leave a comment. All you do is in the chat. When I post this, go back, post a comment. Like, not in the chat, but in the actual comment section. It'll go a long way, and I'll definitely appreciate that, okay? With that said, guys, I am out of here. Peace.